Oh, sorry.
Hello. We are live.
Hey guys, sorry for the late live stream. Even if it's just by a few minutes, we just had some technical difficulties.
But yes, make sure to follow us on all our social media at _creepycorner or at CP Creepycorner on Facebook. But yes, I just still have like a bad body from the Notre Dame thing, honestly.
Yes,
like
in
the
unlikely event that you haven't heard already, not by the time of this stream, Notre Dame is currently still burning down, and it is just so
it's heartbreaking. Like
it is like centuries.
I didn't see the falling of the spear
it's so much history and culture and just actual
patrimony.
Just so much good things that humanity's created just gone to the wind now, and it is dust. And
it's so sad.
And it pisses me off that like there's a lot of people laughing at this like it's a joke.
I mean, you're always gonna get people to laugh about anything.
I know,
honestly,
it's just. I understand it's people just being trolls because they're that sad that all he like is suffering anymore. But like, just at least wait until the fires are out. Come on,
it's so sad.
It's like
it's always so hard to like wrap your head around something like this. I remember like it was actually a few years ago. It was this like art thing. Where was it? Turkey. I think it might have been Turkey. I forget what it was, but like I think it was the Islamic State, like literally like blew it up as a like a force, like
a show of force.
Yeah, show of force thing. As like we don't care about like historic things and like patrimony, it should be destroyed, and like we have the power to do it. And we don't care.
They still managed to bring it back, but the fact that a bomb has done less damage to it.
No, they didn't. They blew the entire fucking thing up.
Well, I mean, that is kind of like in a sad way, it's kind of a relieving because it just means that this isn't going to stop it from being rebuilt either. Hopefully. Like it's so much history and culture that needs to be saved. And by last time I saw
Palmyra, that's it.
And I mean, last time.
This.
Oh my God!
The temple of Balshamin in Palmyra in Syria. Yeah, that was in 2015.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
And they made sure they filmed it.
Honestly, it reminds me of, and this probably like makes it feel like I'm making little of it, but it reminds me of a main thing in one of my favorite shows like
a cushion or something to like put under you. It's like you're very low.
Fixed, but like American Gods, because literally the main thing about the thing is if people stop believing in you as a god, you stop existing, and that it cuts to shots of the footage of that structure being destroyed, and it's just showing that this sort of holy war that's going on is affecting, you know, the beliefs. And it is kind of the same with Notre Dame. Hopefully it's going to affect people in a more positive way, where it's just going to make people come together.
I don't know. I just don't know how that would make anyone come together as anything, but it's just heartbreaking. But anything.
Yes.
Anyway, that's besides the point.
I want to say on a more positive note, but I highly doubt the issues we're going to go on about is a very positive, because we are going on about cults, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to talk about cults today. Do you want to start?
Yes, I'll start with a famous one.
Because, are you going to talk about Scientology?
I'll talk about science. Well, you've already told them about that one. I'm going to be going.
Sorry for the spoiler.
Spoiler alert. But yeah, I'm going to be going on about Scientology and the. Oh my word! My mind's went blank. Manson family. That's it. I don't know how my mind went blank there, because it's one of my favorite cases. Honestly, it is.
I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna say it at the beginning. Oh, before I forget, the question of the week thing for people to answer in the comments. What do you reckon it should be? What's your favorite? No, but like, we should have thought about this better. We should have thought about this before. But anyway, I'm gonna talk about the Rashinish and the Jonestown people's temple.
Oh, do you know what we could ask? if people think Scientology is a cult, because they're currently arguing that, especially within
see, that's the
politics
thing.
itself.
Like a lot of religions, because like there is a thing that it's like determining if something is a cult isn't just subjective. Like there's a
There's
few
a lot
like
of factors
criteria,
into it.
but that's the thing. There's a few like studies or like I don't know, academics and stuff that have like written about this, and like there's a few like criteria that probably Scientology probably meets. Like there's a lot of like actual churches like Mormonism and shit like that that definitely are a cult.
Oh, but it just they've got the following man to say no, we're not. But it is. I'll say that's a good one, because like what do you think classes as a cult that's currently not classed as a cult nowadays? That'll be a good one. Because again, there are a lot of
subjectively classed. Because like there is such a fine line between a religion and a cult. Because if you stop and think about it, like
I think the only like real difference now is that if you're classed as a religion, you do get government benefits out of it. But obviously, and that's what's pissed off Scientology people about it, is because their churches are no longer getting government benefits.
I don't know, like if
part of this tax.
I'm gonna research like what it takes to be a cult.
Yeah. While you do that, I'm actually going to go on about the Manson family first. So, for people who don't know, one of the world's most prolific cult leaders and murderers is Charles Manson.
Yes, I'm very happy that you've been like scientifically accurate and you haven't called him a serial killer, because technically I don't think he killed anyone. Because like
Hitler didn't kill anyone, and he's still a pretty big prick.
Yeah, but no one calls him a serial killer, and a lot of people call Charles Manson a serial killer.
I'd say he's a serial killer. I'd say he's a genocide.
Like, oh wait, there's like
it was his choice to genocide a full race of people.
The church sect continuum. So it's like a
there's like an actual graph for it. Yeah. Oh, that's
so it's like churches all the way to the right. Denomination isn't what is it?
So
it's called in a sect, but like that's the thing. Called in a sect aren't the same thing. But anyway,
it seems to be a lot about the sort of more aggressive nature of it.
Destructive cults, doomsday cults. What was the
well, actually,
the name of that cult, that the other one that committed mass suicide? That one was a doomsday cult.
Yeah. I mean, technically, the Manson family class is a doomsday cult, because that's what. Because that's what caused them to.
That's the Helter Skelter thing.
Yeah, the Helter Skelter, which, well, for people who don't know, Charles Manson.
Heaven's Gate. That's the other doomsday.
Yeah.
20.
I think that was the one that involved Nike. I think that's the one where everyone was wearing Nike trainers.
I don't know.
The one I was telling you about.
What did Nike have with cults?
I don't know. It was really so weird. Creepy. Like, it wasn't as if Nike had sponsored them. It's literally when this big mass suicide happened.
Yeah, they were all wearing the same
clothes. They were all wearing the same clothes. They were covered in sheets, and the only thing that were all showing was their feet, which were currently wearing or had shoes beside them. Nike trainers, and it's just like everyone goes, why are they all wearing Nike trainers? But
fashion icons.
But no, the Manson family can definitely class as a doomsday cult. So Manson was a very unpopular and not very successful musician at the very beginning of all, and that's especially with his very racist beliefs.
Yeah,
because his main thing was that he was pretty much a white supremacist. He strongly believed that.
And hello, Anna.
Hey, Anna. He strongly believed that what the white race was much stronger than the black race, and that they should have been slaves.
Yeah, and there was going to be a race war.
Yes,
that he called Helter Skelter. Are you going to talk about that? Or?
Yes, that's what I was going to go next. Sorry for my rambling, but
no, I was just like
but his to help push his followers to do these horrendous acts in his name. He believed there was in the future there was going to be a race war between the whites and the blacks. And that
especially because like when he got out of prison the last time, the second to last time, it was in the middle of like the 60s and all like the race movements and like social movements and
where
protests and all
I
that
mean, there
stuff.
was
So he was like,
technically
"Holy
already
shit!"
there was technically already a race war on, which probably didn't help his mindset, in which he just went, "Well,
Oh,
I'm right."
thank you very much. Been following you two for a while, and it's very interesting. Thank you. We try and make it interesting.
But yeah, that's the main thing he used to push his family, as he called them, which just makes a lot of the sex and orgies be a bit weirder.
That was just a control thing, and also to like satisfy his personal like things.
Yeah,
like,
he was a massive nymphomaniac, which not many people know. He just really wanted sex all the time,
and he was just like a control freak and like a sociopath and everything, like the worst kind of way. But like, the thing is, he used it for power because like whenever they took drugs and LSD and all that stuff, he would always like take less than like.
So he'd always be in control.
Yeah, so he would always be in control of himself, and so that like people thought that like drugs didn't affect him, like because that was a thing that happened.
It was keeping up that illusion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because he said he was some sort of Jesus like savior.
Yeah, because and like he made people believe that was what his name was, like Manson, son of man, and like people were like, "Whoa, bitch!"
Like that was the thing, was the fact that I believe one of the reasons that he was so successful with what he was doing is perfect timing.
He was good with words as well.
Yeah, he was very manipulative.
Like if you have an open enough mind, because like that's the he was very targeting towards his like victims. He knew what people to target, and like especially from like his own experience, like seeing like how different types of people reacted. He went for people that like were clearly in a bad situation, and it's like what the Rationese did, where like they took in a lot of like homeless people. Which
who can't really say no. It's either continue living on the streets or
living in a cult.
Living in a cult where they're at the very least going to give you free food and shelter, and then you're like, I won't become part of this cult, and then very quickly you become part of the cult.
Yeah.
But he loved the song Helter Skelter, and that's
from
where
the Beatles.
From the Beatles, and that's where his belief of this
he reinterpreted it in his own way.
He believed that this was a sign of what was to come, and again the constant protests didn't help that belief, and that's how he got people to kill in his name, because he was trying to he wasn't trying to avoid this war, protect from this war, he was trying to instigate it.
But he did like isolate his people, because like that also contributed into him like controlling them and all that stuff.
I mean, it's the most physical
so they didn't
way.
really have much contact with the outside world.
Exactly.
Really.
It's the most like physical way of controlling your followers by making sure they have no contact from the outside world. And again, it was this belief in Helter Skelter that fueled that. It was like, you have to come to the desert with me and live there, and we'll just steal what we need, because one, it's not going to matter anymore, because very soon there's going to be a race war, and two, we're going to be safe from that race war because we're in the deserts where no one can touch us, which is kind of smart thinking, kind of not.
But it's kind of interesting because like their killings, especially the Tate LaBianca murders, are like a bit random if you think about it, because like they didn't really directly target them. Like they didn't know what they were gonna find. He just like he was angry at someone. I forget who it was, because he was definitely
I believe
someone from the record industry.
No, it was. I believe it was. I can't remember who the famous artist was.
It wasn't the guy.
Producer, because it was the producer that he tried to make contact with to try and boost his business.
Like through the Beach Boys, which is another thing that is like, why doesn't anyone talk about that? Like literally, the Beach Boys have songs that are like written by Charles Manson, and he just like gave it to them, and they like made them their own. And he was like so pissed because like he didn't like the versions that they did. Yeah, obviously, but there are actual songs written by Charles Manson, performed by the Beach Boys, and like one of the members of the Beach Boys was his friend, and like he followed him, and the rest of the people were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he was like, he adored him.
And that's the thing. He masked everything that he got these people to do as for like this greater good for the future. In reality, a lot of the murders that took place, thanks to the Manson family, were just revenge killings more than anything.
Yeah, the thing is,
he wanted to get back at the people who rejected him.
They killed those people because they like the guy that he was trying to kill. They moved out like recently, and it's like, yeah, just kill anyone that's in there. And
exactly. I mean. It's really fascinating because it worked so well that members were completely disillusioned with the real world.
And the thing is,
the amount of drugs they took and like this constant brainwashing by Manson, because as much as as much as an awful person he was very smart in what he did.
A lot of things. Then sometimes
despite
he just
being pretty much illiterate, which makes it even funnier that he was like, I can get into the music business with no basic teachings at all.
He learned how to play guitar and how to sing in prison because he spent half of his like young life there. He like came out when he was like fucking 20 something.
But I mean, there's a really good film out there that I highly recommend. My friend Charlotte showed me it, which shout out to you, Charlotte. It's called Live Freaky Die Freaky, and it's an animated film that is very artistic in its telling of the Manson family and their murders, because what it basically does is it tries to tell it from their point of view in a more literal sense of how they are disillusioned with the world. So everything they do is really weird and light-hearted and sort of fucked up, but in a really kind of funny way, to the point where it shows you going to the villa and killing the people. And one of them's pregnant. I believe that was a major part of it. One of them was a closeted gay guy, because obviously around that time wasn't the best time to be gay. It was a freer time, but like there was still a lot of just bigotry around it. But in the film, they're before getting murdered, they're just taking massive lines of cocaine, and like just getting off the faces, drinking while this woman is pregnant, and the guy's like on about how gay he wants to be, and then they come in, they kill them, and they even decapitate a lot of, I think, a few of them, and they're all complaining like, "Oh my god, this is going to so ruin my figure," and shit like that, and to the point where the gay guy's kind of performing on himself, to put it lightly, because I don't want this to get demonetized.
We're not monetized anyway.
It's just trying to get into that habit more than anything.
But
it's and the pigs, which again that was what was written there.
A lot of the stuff that they did, it was just to be provocative and just to confuse people. Yeah, because like it wasn't all for the helter skelter. A lot of things were just for like Charlie's like own ego thing that he had going on.
He wanted to believe that he had the power
reckless.
to cause this destruction.
He was like so like LOL random XD.
He did have and like all the way to his death have a massive god complex. Yeah. He generally, after a while of doing this, he became disillusioned himself and started to believe that, yes, this lie I'm telling isn't a lie.
I'm not sure
anymore.
Disillusion is a word, but okay.
I think it is. I'm going to keep using it. But yeah, but like in the film, it just makes light of all this. Anyone who's played as a force of authority, like the police, it has a pig's head. And fun fact, the Charles Manson himself is voiced by the lead singer of Green Day in that film. And he just says stuff like he bursts into
I've heard about.
Yeah, and he just bursts into the one of the more prominent members, one of his closest ones, and it's her telling of it, but she's that crazy that like her hair's shaven off. She's got the cross carved into her head that Manson did to himself, and a few of his members did. And she's on about how amazing he is, and and how she met him, and he just, as she's considering how shit her life is, he bursts through the door screaming about how he's Jesus, and then tells her to
in the murders?
No, in the film.
No, because like that's not accurate.
No, this is like Harry, like imagining of this godlike person that she thinks is a god, bursting into her room and introducing himself. He bursts into the room, tells her that he's Jesus, and then tells her to have sex with him, and she's like, okay. And does it, and that was just down the rabbit hole from there. She was just so amazed with this guy's ability to just, this ego that he had, that he was like, well, and again, this was a girl who was known for taking drugs.
Yeah.
Like it was the time for it. So when this guy comes in, starts saying it, and she's like nearly homeless off her face and going, and she just sees it, goes, yeah, I can believe that, and just starts following him.
That's the thing, like
it's really interesting how like through all this full film, it's just like this really like kind of real like just one big trip, because that's basically how they saw it, is this really fun big trip where it's just like just really weird. Like it just shows you how far gone the members of this group were. But yes, sorry, big rant over. It's again, it just fascinates me how much power and control he had over these people.
Yeah, I mean, there were vulnerable people under the influence of a lot of drugs. He purposely like kept track. Like, for example, he didn't let the kids, because like he would get like women pregnant all the time and like get them to like keep the kids, because he thought that contraception was like anti-natural, and at the same time they had to like repopulate this like helter-skelter earth. So he kept the kids separate from their parents, because like he found it annoying, and like it was also part of his control thing, and yeah, a whole thing. But do you have anything else to say about the Manson family?
No, it's just kind of really fucked up. And again, it's the fact that its effect is so wide range. There's still people who somehow look up to him.
Yeah, well, like if you go into Tumblr, there's a whole community. Because like
scary.
I was gonna say, I have my thing for serial killers, but that's gonna sound terrible. But
it's true.
It's not true. Like, there's people that genuinely have an actual thing for like, and like the Columbine killers are like a big thing on Tumblr.
God.
And like, I'm guessing like Ted Bundy has been a hot topic recently as well.
With his sexy monobrow.
Oh my god! But like, yeah, and well, Richard Ramirez is another big one.
Hasn't the film where Zac Efron?
I don't think it's come out yet.
Coming out yet. The fact that I'm going to get to see Zac Efron with a fucking massive monobrow makes me fucking laugh.
I don't think they're going to do a monobrow on him, are they? I don't think he has it in the bits that I've seen.
Because the only other way I can think it is they are going to go for this so fucked up romanticized version of it. Because apparently he was charming, but like it's that part that's like.
But at the same time, I feel like
girls go, "Oh, he was so charming."
I feel like it's so problematic, and that's what I heard people talk about. Because like I don't mind the odd documentary or like the Ted Bundy tapes. That's a very good documentary series, and like we're going off on a tangent because this is related to culture. But like I don't like the fact that they've cast Zac Efron, a known like heartthrob teenage fucking actor person, handsome guy, as this guy that like one of his main like assets to like literally recruit people and like kill people was his attractiveness, because that's already a problem on like Tumblr and like some fucked people's heads, because like it's all right to have an interest about this stuff.
It's the fact that not only are they acknowledging these people are happening, they are catering to it in a weird way.
Yeah,
it is romanticized. They are aware of that. It is people romanticizing these toxic killer people who especially because like seen in a positive light.
Because it's a film about an actual real serial killer and things that happened like 30 years ago, and it's not like a Halloween or a Nightmare on Elm Street where it's like all like fictional and like abstract and all that, even though it might be based on like
these actually happened, and people lost their lives just
and like
because these
survivors are still alive.
Like, exactly,
they're in the documentary.
Imagine being like a survivor and being traumatized for life,
and now it's a fun little fucking Zac Efron film.
And people are going, "Oh my god, him!" And you're like, "I survived him wanting to rape me."
That's gonna be so fucking scary.
And it's that thing. It was like people romanticizing these things, and I can imagine a lot of these survivors get harassment from those people. Like it's a positive thing. Like, "Oh my god, you gotta meet him."
Literally,
how was he? I bet he was so hot.
I was watching this video today about K-pop drama because I've run out of Western drama.
There's apparently a lot of illegal stuff they are doing
and I found out about a lot of that stuff today, and people were like, because like I think
trying to argue their point.
No, this one guy was like a bit rapey, and people were like, "Oh my god, that's like my kink. Like you're so lucky," and it's like,
oh no, no one asks for that. Yes, people have their weird little fantasies, but a fantasy is called a fantasy for a reason.
We're turning into Romeo Lacoste.
But yes, that's my little rant starter. What about you?
Well, I was gonna talk about the Rajneesh Temple because I found this documentary on Netflix like a few months ago. Because because I love documentaries about like cults and all that stuff. And I knew about the Jonestown stuff and the other one that I already forgot what it's called, the Heaven's Gate cult. But I started watching this documentary and I'm like, oh, this is interesting because it's about this like Indian guru. He has like a bunch of names. He's the Rajneesh, the Bhagwan, and the Osho. Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh Osho. So like, that's not pretty.
Imagine saying that 3 times fast.
So I'm like, oh, this is cool because it's like this Indian guru that like emigrates, I guess, to the States with his like followers and like starts his little like commune there. And it starts off like very like kind of like happy and like hippie. And this was like after Jonestown, but it was still like in the late 70s, early 80s. So like a lot of people were like trying to find themselves and like going to India because it was the hot new thing, and like yoga started being a thing and meditation because like people didn't know what that was before.
People started saying he was going to be like the next Buddha, weren't they? Like the modern day Buddha. Like this guy is such a amazing teacher and like
because apparently he did like psychology sessions and shit like that. And what they did is like they did a full on like just letting go, like being all fucking spazzy thing, and then like meditating and all that.
I mean, it was like they would just hyperventilate until their minds pretty much conked out, then stop, and then go, yeah, do what your body thinks. And most people freaked out because, again, you're like hyperventilating. That's not
and
good
you're
for
like
your
very
body.
highly like suggestionable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. They're like seeing this like holy like higher way of saying, no, you're just getting lightheaded. Like your brain's got too much oxygen, it doesn't know what to do. This isn't a godlike feeling. This is you just fucking up your body.
Yeah, but at the same time, I guess that can like certain types of like breathing and like thinking and stuff can induce a state of like meditation. So I don't question that. It's just like how they used it and like how it all ended that's like the more questionable part. So like eventually they moved to the States, and like I watched this documentary a long time ago and I was rewatching it today, but I didn't rewatch the whole thing. And these are like casual hangouts, so like I'm not that worried about that.
Yeah.
But so I don't remember exactly why they went to the US, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot of like tax fraud and everything, because like I know that they owed like millions of like dollars in like tax fraud.
That was one of the many sort of controversies that had going about them.
But like even like in India, they have a lot of like tax evasion and stuff. So they go into the US already like fucking felonies all over the place because a lot of like immigration like fraud and stuff.
It's the fact that they managed to get out of that as well.
Although there's a lot of, it was mostly like Western people, but like Americans or like Canadians and Australians and stuff like that. Yeah. So they find this ranch in this small town in Oregon, and at first they just start like doing it like really well. Like they start like building a few like buildings and stuff, and like a very like sustainable farm and all that. And they I don't know, they keep like growing and all that.
They were quite polite at first as well with the townspeople.
Yeah, well, they were a bit weird because they also like dressed in orange.
Yeah, like they did get weird looks, but at first they were just friendly as they could be.
That's another thing about like cults. It's like other cults force people to get like tattoos and stuff like that, which is like a way of like kind of making everyone kind of feel as one, like as a whole like mass.
It's a physical mark you can't get rid of that everyone's sharing.
It's like a personal like identification. It's just like a way of like being more of like a them versus us thing. But anyway, so they start like expanding, and even though they do a lot of good things for like the environment and like all that stuff, they start getting like really creepy really fast because like they move into like this small town of like old retired people. It's like a quiet town. And they're like, oh, but we're like breathing life into this place, and it's like these people have come here specifically to rest. Leave them the fuck alone. And like obviously the people in the town were very annoyed, but at the same time there's other people that get like really violent, as in like when it starts like escalating, people just go out in the streets with like their guns and like are just like very hostile and are like borderline pretty much racist, because they literally say like in interviews in the documentary, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just like, I don't like the unknown. And it's like, well, there you have it. But at the same time, it is understandable that a cult of like orange people is kind of unknown scary.
But it was the fact that this sort of started happening as the escalation started itself.
Yeah.
Like in the townspeople's defense, they weren't the first to to sort of push. They
were the ones that like came.
Yeah, they came, and then this was after like the cult started getting not aggressive, just pushing their boundaries.
She's fucking weird. Yeah, because like that's another thing that they always argue. It's like, oh, we always did this in like the legal way and like the legal route, but like the fact that it's legal doesn't mean that it's okay. Like so, like for example, they would start like buying properties off of the people in the town, which like a lot of them that needed the money or like had those properties like on sale for a really long time and they couldn't sell them. And like, oh, by the way, I've not talked about Sheila, but Sheila was basically the like second in command of the Bhagwan. And
May I just add,
she was just like a disciple that like got lucky.
May I just add though, she was a bitch.
Yeah, she was a bit of a bitch.
Like literally, she was the sort of worst type of person when it comes to like beliefs, religious and not, in which it was just like, I'm right, you're wrong. What's that? You have a different belief. Fuck you.
Like literally,
and there's literally
like that.
interviews like that where
on
someone
TV.
goes, "Aren't you being a bit corrupt here?" And she goes, "No, we're not. We're religious. Fuck you." And then just like start to lose their mind. And there's literally times in interviews where the interviewers are laughing at. It's like, "Oh, you want to go on? Yeah, let us just turn your mic off right there." And she's losing her mind on live TV, like just screaming at these people. And I was like, "No one can hear you. You're just screaming to yourself at this point."
But she was the one that kind of managed everything, because like the Bhagwan literally just like stands there and like,
yeah, he came out to festivals, said generic
I don't think like
wisdom stuff
in the by the moment where we are at the no wait, because that's another thing that you don't know.
What?
Because that's the whole thing of like cults and stuff, which like most of them just end up either in jail or like killing themselves or like fucking, I don't know. But the Bhagwan eventually dies. Ooh. And they do this whole like funeral thing, and like I'm not sure, I could be completely wrong, it could be kind of epic if it was true, but like I think one of the only times where he like directly like with his own like words address the people was like when he was like not about to die, but like
on his deathbed,
kinda, yeah, when like he was getting like much older. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm not even sure he ever like said anything. It was always like Sheila that said shit.
I can remember there's a few quotes where it's him reacting to people who were what he deemed fake followers, and if people who came out to see him, it started raining. And people left in. And he just stopped what he was like addressing. Went, look at these people. They fake followers, and then it's like
pussies.
They pussies. A bit of rain like starts getting them away, and then they would and it's a good tactic because they would either one get embarrassed and stay, or two get embarrassed and leave. So like everyone else strongly believes that you are in the right, that you have this power just to tell people to fuck off. Yeah. I mean, this ability to tell people to fuck off started to manifest really quickly because, as you say, it started as just buying or getting people to sell their places and houses, but it started to become more harassing, didn't it?
Yeah, eventually, because like not everyone like leaves their house. Eventually they do elections and stuff, and they manage to take over the town. Like I don't know who they get as a mayor or something, but like they managed to make it their town. So it's like Antelope, like Rajneeshpura Antelope, whatever. And they change the name of the streets and everything, and like they have their own police, and they keep like fucking like shining lights into people's houses and like filming them and stuff as a way of like legal kind of harassment, because that's the thing, they always claim that they've never done anything illegal, which is a good shield to have, honestly.
I mean, it was a brilliant loophole in the fact that they did just generally, they would do nothing but harass them and film them in public property. They would never enter their private property. They would just do stuff to make their life a living hell while still.
And then there's the orgies, the constant.
Oh my god! It was just the fact it's like, oh, cool, a festival, and then like when we were watching the documentary, it was just a bunch of naked people around a lake. Like, oh,
I mean,
that's
just like that's just naked sunbathing. That's just like a nudist like beach. It
was the fact that this was just like. It was again. It came about in the time of love, the freedom.
And at the same time, like,
and everyone's just like, "Let's have sex, unprotected sex." Yeah.
Well, I mean, they claim that they don't have any like STDs, but like, I don't know how true that is, because a guy from the town manages to get into like the dumpster, and he finds a lot of like documents that should have been shredded, and there's a lot of like corruption and stuff. Because like the Bhagwan had like fucking 20 Rolls Royces. Yeah,
that's another thing that pisses me off is when you get these religious leaders who's like, "Oh yes, the the money is going into our own belief. It's going back into the system, and it's going to help our religion more and help.
Which
the
I mean,
religion grow.
honestly,
by the way, I'm buying 10 Rolls Royces because God said so.
No, but
I again, that's not with the Razish. I'm not going to even
just say
Osho. Osho, yeah, that's a much easier one. But like, it was the fact that like that's not an
but
uncommon
at the same time,
thing that
they
annoys
were
me.
a very prosperous community in themselves. They were very aggressive towards the outside, but that's the thing that like, well, there was a bit of like manipulation and like fucking, I don't know, I guess like mental abuse. But thing is, they were a growing community. They kept building stuff.
But
and,
at the same time, like in my
they were
logical
sustainable
thinking,
and like self-reliant.
Surely that as a Buddhist style belief and like as a Buddhist style figure, buying expensive material items surely is the exact opposite of what your belief entails. Yeah, because I'm sure
they have a website. He has a website, osho.com.
Oh my God!
I'm pretty sure the thing is still going. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was that thing where it kind of disbanded, but it was just because people got past it, and it was just
current status on Wikipedia. The movement has survived Rajneesh's death.
The Osho International Foundation.
It was banned in Russia. Like
good.
Like officially like banned.
Jesus Christ! It's like.
They lost their trademark in 2009.
Oh, so I could pick up the trademark.
The Rajneesh trademark.
I could make a dildo and called it the Rajneesh dildo, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Oh my God.
Go fuck it. Baby Jesus butt plugs.
Osho.
But oh my God.
But yeah, it's and like the funeral and everything that they do, like they just like they do a proper like gypsy funeral.
Oh my God. But it's the fact that like
they eventually like Sheila fled eventually because she got into like a lot of trouble. I think she went to like Switzerland or something.
I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure out of
she went to like
all of the corrupt people, she must have been the most corrupt.
She was ahead of
there's no
everything.
way she didn't take a massive chunk of that money for herself. And like again, before they even landed in America, she was already under investigation for fraud. So she knew how to legally handle money so that they wouldn't get caught.
And the law, like you can see in her interviews how like even when they're talking about like serious stuff or like spiritual stuff, she has like that smug like smile on her face.
Yeah, she's definitely doing this for her own cause. Like she may have some belief in it. I'm not denying that, but it's the fact that she's definitely got a selfish part.
She's still alive.
I know, and she still believes that she's in the right.
It's amazing.
I love that documentary. She feels like she's been villainized. It was like,
I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the stuff she knows that she's done wrong, but she just like obviously
she's one of those she's one of those people who I believe who just refuses to believe she can do wrong. Yeah. She refuses to acknowledge that she can actually make mistakes and do terrible things. She just thinks, yeah, everything I did is fine. And it's that fact where I believe a lot of that with her, especially being that type of person and second in command, that caused this great escalation between them, and the bioterror attack.
I think it was the bombing because that's another thing. So at one point they are like very pacific and everything, and even when like the people from the town like if you want to continue like reading,
I'm intrigued in that.
Even when the people from the town like continue like threatening them and all that stuff, they continue to be like, oh, we're fucking pacifists, whatever. But it comes to a point where like one of the hotels that they own, because like even though they started like building their stuff, I think they owned a lot of other stuff because they built like a supermarket. They had not a supermarket, a fucking like shopping center.
Oh my God, this is really sketchy.
What happened?
Right, do you know how they managed to get the mayor elected in this town?
Oh, what?
Do you want to know how they did it? In an attempt to control the votes.
Because they controlled the votes.
They infected local salad produce with salmonella.
What? That's not in the documentary.
And it poisoned 751 people.
Oh my God.
And again, it says right here, the motivation for this attack was to rig the local election. So they poisoned people to stop them from voting, so more people from their cult would vote.
That's another thing that we were talking about before. They took in a lot of like homeless people and stuff like that. so it could help them. Like it's the only thing that they wanted for them was to vote. But yeah, I was going on about something, but this bioterror. Oh yeah, the gun thing. So it gets to a point.
This wasn't found out till years later.
Okay.
And this is probably why she didn't flee. She got literally kicked out the country for this.
Oh, all right.
The Ranish.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, I didn't get kicked out. I left because I wanted to.
The conviction would eventually lead to the deportation of the leader of the movement, Ranish, along with 10 years suspension sentence and a $400,000 fine.
Well, I mean, she can totally pay that.
Oh yeah, with all the money she's stolen from people too high out the kites to like realize that they're just following some mad people.
That's the thing. I am not sure that it was one of those cults that did a lot of drugs, because they clearly.
I like whether they did it themselves on purpose or like
maybe they were spite. Because I wouldn't be surprised. Because like that's literally what I was going to talk about afterwards, which was
I could imagine them doing that under the covers, like just putting drugs into people's food and drinks, saying, "Hey, you're going to feel amazing today because this food is holy." And then they just give people drugged up food and like, oh my God, it's true. I mean, you're having visions. And then it's like, nope, you're just on LSD.
But like, the thing is, what I was going to talk about is like one of their hotels gets bombed and they're like, oh, now we need to arm ourselves. And literally they arm themselves like head to toe with semi-automatic rifle.
It was like the next day, wasn't it? Next day. And they were fully armed. It wasn't like a slow escalation where people just sort of went, oh, we need to arm ourselves and just slowly grab more guns themselves. They
were supplied with guns. They were trained.
They literally.
There's videos of them so they can show it to the like.
They practiced.
They made sure so the outsiders knew that they were armed and they could.
They basically made like there's a good reason people believe it was an inside job, and that's because it was just a perfect excuse to have them militarize themselves.
Well, I don't know if people believe it's an inside job. I just think it's so convenient that they have the perfect excuse to arm themselves. Because it's like, oh, we're not armed. We don't have any arms, blah, blah, blah. But then this thing happens and they're like, oh, well, now we need a fucking whole army.
And again, with these people who are most likely corrupt and have all these benefits for gaining more power, and making sure people can't take away that power, a few lives of the millions of followers you have isn't really going to be worth much. I think a lot of people got injured. I don't know how
Not a lot of people. No, there was no deaths.
There was no. Well, that's the thing. It's like they
wouldn't. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have cared.
A bomb went off, and the injuries.
Multiple.
Exactly, and no one was killed at all. Like that seems very.
Well, I mean, there was suspicious behavior, and like a lot of the bombs like went off afterwards when people were already evacuated or whatever. But yeah, I want to talk about the Jonestown thing.
Yes, go on.
We run out of time. It's just fascinating because Jim Jones, he was like a preacher type like guy first, and he had like political connections. Like I think he was from New York. I fucking should have researched this better. But yeah, he definitely wanted to get like higher up in the political thing and like the religious like ladder and all that stuff. And like a lot of people didn't like him and didn't agree with like his practices and all that stuff. So he basically was like, okay, let's just pack our stuff. And they left. They left to Guyana, which is a place in Mexico. I think it's in like South America. And they made their own like whole town there. It was kind of like a Rajneesh situation.
It was more of a compound as well, wasn't it? In which it wasn't just a nice local town that was already.
No. But the thing is, like the Rajneesh people built their own town as well.
I know that. But it's the fact that this was again already more escalated because as well as building a town, they built fences around it, didn't they? Like massive fences, like one big cage,
and they also
just
like
made people believe it's not a cage, it's for the people not getting in.
Because like for example, the Rajneesh had an airport and all that stuff, and they were next to
private jets, because everyone knows a fucking religious leader needs a private jet.
Tell that to the Pope. But
this one's the thing with doing his best.
The thing with Jonestown is that the airport was literally like a landing strip of like dirt in the middle of the jungle, like kind of far away from there. And so obviously eventually like the fact that they've moved like fucking almost 1,000 people to Guyana and they're like isolating them. No, I don't have a double jointed thumb. Do I?
Oh, I do. Right there.
Maybe I do. No, I don't think so.
I can do a cool little bendy trick. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got extra bendy thumb for double thumbs up.
Nah, I have kind of bendy fingers.
I've got the thumbs up power up.
But anyway,
thanks, Sal, for that one.
So they were
thumbs up to
isolated,
you.
and it was like very sketchy. So obviously the U.S. government like got into that, and like even though he got himself kind of covered, he was still like he kicked himself out of the U.S. So they brought I think it was a governor and like reporters and stuff to like see what was happening there, and that's when the whole like mass suicide happened, because that's the thing, they also gunned down these people, and a few people managed to like escape, which is fucking
and that was
astounding.
that was the thing. It was the fact that it wasn't a choice.
And yes, we do have tattoos.
1, 2. Hang on, where is it? Okay. There we are. For people who can't see, that says haunted because I'm a creepy corner at heart. But yeah, and another one which I probably won't get out on stream because I would probably have to drop keg. But yeah, it was that thing. It wasn't a choice, was it? It was drink this fruit punch or we will kill you.
Or we'll shoot you.
Yeah, and and even before the mass suicide, that was a thing. It was like, oh yeah, you can come here, but you can't leave. And if there's reports of people trying to leave and either being threatened until they decide to stay, or literally just disappearing.
At one point, when these people came into Jonestown to investigate, like one of the people in the cult like passed them a note, and it fell to the floor. And I think that's like, I don't think that's, maybe that might have been what kickstarted everything, but I think they definitely like caught it or something. I don't remember, but
it's just the fact that like it was a more terrifying cult because it tricked people to join it, and they literally couldn't leave it.
Yeah.
And it was like they were stuck there. They were prisoners. Their fate was sealed at that point.
And that's the thing. Jim Jones wasn't even that charismatic, nor was he even like, because at least you can kind of get with like the whole rationist stuff. It's like, oh, we're all so happy and like self-sufficient and like I don't know, all that stuff. But like with the Jonestown, it just sounds depressing and like scary.
I mean, like there was people who generally believed in this who were giving their own kids this point, like what was it, cyanide? Cyanide laced like fruit punch.
I think I remember this like testimony that I heard that a guy saw his wife like give the poison to like their kids, or like they saw their kids getting murdered or something, and they were like, yeah, bye, and then like killed themselves because of that, because it's like, no fucking way am I gonna like live with this.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
And yeah, a lot of people got like it like injected even, I think, and like they got shot, and like he shot himself, the fucking coward.
Asshole. But like literally, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you the most painful death that most people can ever imagine.
And he was like off his face on coke as well.
Yeah, because for people who don't know, cyanide works in the fact that it stops your ability to absorb oxygen. So
yeah, I don't know how cyanide works.
Yeah, that's literally how it works. That's how it kills you, and that's why it's so painful. Is it just stops your cells from being able to absorb oxygen, so your body completely suffocates all at once, and that's what makes you kind of shut down, as well as the burning sensation because it's very acidic.
Yeah,
and it's just nasty. Meanwhile, this guy gets a nice bullet to the brain to make it quick because
I think he got someone to shoot him actually because he was that big fucking asshole.
Oh my god!
But yeah. 900 people went down with that.
And it was scary. I think there's only ever another one about that, which I think is the Heaven's Gate one.
Yeah, with the Heaven's Gate.
In which I want to look into this because it was it was definitely Heaven's Gate because it was the Nike. Like no one knows why, as far as I know. I might be misinformed here, but like no one knows why. All the members were wearing Nike shoes as if like it was mandatory. Like far too many people were wearing.
Oh yeah, and by those, because I just read it and like I forgot that like people might not know this, but like their whole thing is that they believe that a UFO was gonna like pick them up from Earth, and the only way of getting there was and like the only way of getting there was like killing themselves.
Yeah, because it was a trap. It was a body.
How many people
It was a
fucking
cage.
died? Oh, okay. So 15 died on March 24th. 15 more. So like people died. What? I didn't know this. I thought it was all at once. So 15 on the 24th, another 15 on the 25th of March, and then another 9 on the 26th. And Applewhite, the fucking asshole of the leader, was the last one, and 2 people remained.
There it is right there. While
yeah.
the calls were phone calls, all
Black and
39
white
were
Nikes.
dressed in identical black shirts, sweatpants, brand new black and white Nike Decades athlete shoes, and an armband saying "Heaven's Gate away team," which just seems like a really sad, sick joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Oh my god, it's connected to Star Trek because like a lot of their beliefs are just reimagined beliefs from the show Star Trek. How did people fall for this? I'm not gonna lie,
it's
I
described as an American UFO religious millenarian cult.
Oh my god.
My god.
But that's the thing, is the fact, like, even looking at their main logo, that just screams like sci-fi, doesn't it? That screams like Star Trek.
Have you seen the videos of Applegate like talking?
No.
He's in like a proper like green screen with like a purple cloak, and he's all like mystical, and he's so weird. He's literally like the fucking Bill Nye the cult guy. Like, I swear.
But no, it is quite saddening that when people with these selfish beliefs have it. Before we run out of time, though, I would like to just talk about Scientology in the most stupid, funny way, because everyone knows, unless you're a Scientologist, in which you are, if you are,
you're probably pretty fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked.
I'm not watching this.
That's why I'm gonna say I'm not a fan of you. Just because, again, it's so scarily hostile. Tom Cruise, please don't come and find me, Tom Cruise. I don't want to be killed by a midget.
Oh my god.
But with perfectly symmetrical teeth.
Aren't they like super crooked though?
No. Have you ever seen it? If you put a line through Tom Cruise's face, he's got, instead of having 2 front
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like he has like crooked teeth where like one of his front teeth matches like the middle of his face.
And
like
it's so weird. But
it's
it's Scientology is very secretive, which is first off, from the starting gate, it's, in my mind, that's setting off alarm bells. Any cult or religious belief that says you're only allowed to know about us if you join us, and it's like, oh, also you have to cut off most of your ties with the non-believers. I'm like, nope. I'm just like, I don't want that. No, like that's just instantly creepy. And then there's the big theory of what happened to was it Tom Cruise's last? No, I think it was one of the leaders' last wives.
No, I mean Tom Cruise, like there's like a lot of controversy and like speculation because like
one of his wives has just disappeared. Oh, like,
wait, no.
There's definitely one. It's definitely a member of the group whose wife is just full on disappeared after she started to be heathenous and like talking out against the belief, and then she just disappears. No one knows where she is. The guy gets a new wife, and no one even acknowledges her existence anymore. I was like, where did this woman go?
Yeah,
we don't know
like,
where she is.
It was a thing where like people were talking about how weird like Tom Cruise's like wives acted like after marrying him. Like how they were not themselves.
They looked scared. And they always look so scared.
And like how they acted so weird and stuff. It's
like, I've got to look this up.
What are you looking?
Scientology wife.
Scientology wife.
Wife missing.
Oh my god. So is it?
Yeah, where is Shelley?
Oh my god.
So one of the leaders of the Scientology church.
Which like, what do they even believe in?
I think it's another we'll go to space.
Because like that's the thing, like Scientology this and that, but like what do even Scientologists believe in?
I think they believe that aliens are the godlike creatures we believe to believe, and they're smart enough to realize.
Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but
no. Do you want to know how humans began and how evolution and how our world
is it like a zoo theory?
Aliens nuked our volcanoes.
Oh.
they nuked the world to such a point that volcanoes started to erupt, and that's what created our world and started evolution.
Okay.
And that they put us on this world after they finished nuking it to shit. And that's why we find uranium and that within the world, is because it's leftovers from the alien bombs. And it's just such a funny belief. I don't know where it goes from there, whether they are going to get sucked up by a spaceship or whatever. But like, it's just so odd and so weird. And it's the fact that they are so secretive, and that like members of the group will go to the churches and just never leave. And like, and it's the fact that, again, a lot of people who are members of the group look so scared. Like, they look like they are under constant watch.
Tom Cruise doesn't look scared.
Yeah, because he's a member. He's the one who's safe. It's anyone who's associated with him who's fucking scared. Because they talk about Scientology, and next thing you know, they're going to wake up in a cell. Like, just when no one knows where they are. I generally believe, like, if it came out that, like, the Church of Scientology just had a unrecorded area where it was just dungeons for people who spoke out and like disappeared, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I think it would be easier if they just like killed them instead of like trying to.
But I know I'm getting sort of Game of Thrones vibes where it's like I think it's the Ring of the Nine, where it's just like, what's that? You are a terrible sinner. Let's lock you in a cage and then like abuse you until you are enlightened with the belief of God and our belief. I was like, I could imagine that happening. I imagine that happened a lot in the Heaven's Gate and the Jonestown thing, where it's like, oh, what's that? You're starting to become a non-believer. Let us just physically and emotionally abuse and torture you until you admit that you believe in our thing again, and are too scared to talk about out of it again.
Yeah, that's definitely a Manson thing as well.
And it's a lot like that, and that's why, like, for me, Scientology deserves to be classed as a cult.
It is.
And like, again, the
fact that they try to call themselves a religion doesn't make them a religion.
The fact that they are still arguing that point in courts and against the US and other political parties, and they're just not winning, because more and more sketchy stuff about them comes out, and people are going missing around you. Why are they going missing around you? It's like that thing where they try and put but he was such a nice neighbour sort of look.
He always said hi.
He always said hi and had a nice smile. We never knew that he had 9 kids' bodies under his building.
Yeah, that's like another. What was the guy's name? I think it was
Popo the Clown.
No. It was another guy that like killed a couple like school kids, and like he literally went on the news because he was like the last person known to have been with them, and like he did interviews with the news. It's like, oh, I didn't really know them, but like I stopped to talk to them, and it's like the like what we were talking about on the other live stream that I've already forgotten this guy's name, that like went to the news and was like, oh, I hope that they're safe and all that. Like,
are you on about the guy who had like long hair?
No,
because I was going to go on about that. There's actual footage, you can find this on YouTube, of a guy who was stalking this girl and then eventually killed her. I don't know what the reason for it was, whether he just did it out of pure emotional rage or just so no one else could have her. And then when it comes out, and then people start searching for it, it becomes a big news thing. He's on the news as like being interviewed live as the information comes out that she's no longer classed as missing because they found her body. And that
and he's like, I think I need to sit down.
Yeah, he's like, he literally loses. You see the color drain out of his face, and he just doesn't know what to say. It's a terrible
fucking thing, but I feel so good for that moment because you can see his like soul leave his body.
I'm sorry, wouldn't you try to act calm and act it off? I know it's a major thing, but like if like, you
can always pretend to be upset by the news.
Yeah, and like you could argue that, but like it's the face of just pure shock and horror rather than
sadness.
Oh no! Yeah. It's literally this sort of fuck. Oh no! And he just sits down, and the interviewer tries to keep it up, and he's just sat on the step.
Imagine being the interviewer though. That would be sick.
That's freaky. That would freak me out. And I was like, why is he acting so thingy about this? It's like, but that's the thing. He can't argue that he's upset about it because he's
Eventually, they're gonna find out.
No, it's not the fact. It's like he can't argue that he's upset about it because on the interview he's saying, "Oh, I didn't really know her. We weren't really close."
Yeah, but you can still
But
be
then it's
affected
like-
by someone in your neighborhood being kidnapped and killed. It's still worrying.
It's just like that. Like the reaction isn't worry. It like you don't have to be able to like read a person just to go. That's more panic than worry. Like that's more, oh god, they are going to find me than worry. Yeah. But honestly, yeah, I do recommend that clip. Recommend that clip. Oh, that could be another thing. Just recommending creepy clips to watch.
Go on.
Yeah, go on. So I'll give you that one, and a less safe for work one is The Politician, and I think you know which politician I'm all about. It revolves around a gun. Who was?
Oh my god!
Yes.
What does that have to do with anything?
I just want to recommend it.
Oh
for people who don't know, there's a clip out there of this famous politician who was under investigation for corruption and doing something that was very.
Dwyer.
But Dwyer, yeah, he was like under investigation, and people basically prosecuted him like in the streets for being a corrupt politician. In reality, he was genuinely a nice guy, and the charges were dropped after someone had lied about it. And oh my god, this generally cost the guy's life. And not only did it cost the guy's life, he held a press conference. In the middle of that press conference, said that he was innocent, then got a package out, opened up that package, took out a revolver. People tried to stop him. He's like, nope, don't come near me. And then just on live TV, shoots himself in the mouth. And the full clip is on YouTube.
Well, I don't know about recently. I don't really want to check.
No, it is recently because you showed it to me within like the last few months.
When?
We were on about it before, like researching for our very creepy show. But the full thing is on, and it's demonetization and keeping it safe for kids. But here's a clip of a guy blowing his brains out. But yes, that'll be my other recommendation. That is completely off topic.
Yes. Well, my recommendation, apart from the Wild Wild Country one, which is a shorter recommendation because the other one's like 10 episodes or something like that. It's a bit long. It's worth it though because it's a lot of information. Like it definitely deserves like that many chapters. They're not stretching it at all.
Yeah.
But it's Holy Hell, which is about another cult, but it's like a lesser known one because like in the 80s it was the time for cults. Like we know the famous ones, but there was a lot of them, and that was one of them. And it's very interesting because I think that they have like a lot of videos as well. I don't know why cults have such a thing, or maybe it was just a thing of the 80s of like filming everything.
It was like what we were on about. Where like, the full start of this was people being so financially stable that they stopped worrying about work and started worrying about finding themselves.
Yeah.
And then that's what fueled this. Is everyone had some sort of message to give, and then it was easy for people to go.
It was just a change of mindset and a change of like era and all that stuff. So it's understandable that if you're there in your 20s.
Yes, so
you would
very good documentaries. If you want a more artistic take on the Manson family, again, I recommend Live Freaky, Die Freaky, which is one hell of a trip. Yeah. Oh my god!
I'll definitely link documentaries about the Jonestown cult as well.
Yes.
And,
But for now,
yes, that's that for now. Make sure to follow us on our social media. They will be listed in the description. And yes, we'll see you in another casual hangout next week.
Yeah, very casual. Stay creepy, guys. In a bit.
Oh my god, is that going to be our next outro?
I hope it is.
Stay creepy.
Yeah. It could be a thing. I like it. End the stream, please.